Hey there, it's Mr. Leatherwood, and today we are going to learn about absolute value. The absolute value of a number is the distance away from zero on a number line. It's always going to be positive because it refers to distance, the distance away from zero. So let's look at an example. We have Lucy and Charlie. So I want you to look at the number line. Lucy's on the left at -5, and Charlie's on the right at 5. How far away is Lucy from 0? So if we count, Lucy is at -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Lucy is 5 jumps away from 0. Well, Charlie's on the opposite end of the number line and is at +5. So let's count for him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Charlie is also 5 away from 0. So we would say their absolute value is both 5. Notice Lucy started at -5, but the absolute value was 5. Charlie started at +5, and his absolute value was 5. So even though they were on opposite ends of the number line, they were still 5 away from 0. This is how we would notate that. So you'll notice, see where my little pointer is, you'll notice these bars right here. These bars notate the absolute value of whatever's inside. So in this case, the absolute value of -5. On this one, it says the absolute value of 5. And we know now with Lucy and Charlie's model that the absolute value of -5, or the distance away from 0, is still going to be 5. And then for Charlie, when he was at 5, the absolute value of 5, or the distance that 5 is away from 0, is also 5. So even though Lucy's number, -5, has a negative on it, the distance away from 0 is still 5. So they would both have the same absolute value. All right, now let's let you try. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 examples. And what I want you to do is try to place these on the number line. You'll notice, just to read these out for you, A says the absolute value of -8. B says the absolute value of -1. C says the absolute value of 3. D says the absolute value of -4.5. And E is the absolute value of 6. Now think about this. Pause the video real quick. See if you can think about where these are going to go on the number line. And then we'll come back and I will show you where they go. All right. Hopefully you have solved this, or at least tried it on your own. Let me see if I can get... we'll just draw them on there. How about red little dots? All right, so letter A says the absolute value of -8. So remember, this is the distance away from 0. So if we started at -8 and we counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, -8 is 8 spots away from 0. So the absolute value of -8 would be 8. So I would actually put the dot right here. Let's see here. So I would label that A. And then for B, it would be absolute value of -1. Well, we wouldn't put it at -1 because it's only 1 away. So you'll notice B is going to go right here. C says the absolute value of 3. So if I started at 3, I would say, well, how far away 3 is from 0? 1, 2, 3. So in this case, you'll notice that the dot is going to stay at where it started. We're going to have C. On D, we have -4.5. So if we go to -4.5, we would say kind of right there. We would say that is 1, 2, 3, 4.5 away from 0. So it is actually going to go right over here. And then E says the absolute value of 6. Well, 6 is going to be 6 away from 0. So my dot is going to be right here. Well, hopefully you did good putting these on here. If not, practice it again, come up with your own numbers, have your parents come up with some numbers, and see if you can place them on a number line. You will notice that all of my absolute values were positive because it's always going to represent distance. So always positive because it refers to distance. All right, thanks for learning with me today. I hope to see you soon. Have a great day.